Does this sound familiar to you? If you're on social media, mainly TikTok and Instagram, you've probably heard it before. This is a viral sound that's been shared in 200,000 videos on the app TikTok alone. The musical genius behind the sound is named Hal Walker, who is a musician and person with ME/CFS. Through sharing his unique music, he has garnered over 1 million followers on TikTok and also uses the app to share and educate about his life with ME/CFS. So I'm so excited to be joined today by Hal Walker. So let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Should I play
So,
some music in the background for us
yes.
while
Oh, okay. So tell me, what is that?
this is an African Mbira.
That's beautiful. Tell me about your background with music. You play two instruments that I have never heard of before. Banacula. Did I get that right or did I butcher it?
No,
Oh,
you
man.
butchered it. Banacula.
Banacula. Where does that come from?
It's actually Banacula.
Banacula. And what's the origin?
Well, a friend of mine named Drummer Joe from Stowe went to West Africa. So my friend Drummer Joe was walking down the street playing this. I've been interested in unique musical instruments to fit in my pocket for my whole life. And I just was blown away. And I said, "What are those?" And he said, "They're banakulas." And
Banacula.
apparently children in West Africa walk down the street playing one in each hand. They gather up seed pods from beneath the swawa tree and fill them with gravel and connect them with a string.
Oh, that's really cool.
And it took me about a week to learn the basic move. And then it became kind of the centerpiece for my school program called Music That Fits in Your Pocket.
Oh, no way.
And
Music that fits in
and
your
then
pocket.
also it became my username on TikTok. And today I have 1.5 million followers as Banacula.
So how many other instruments do you play?
Well, I play a bunch of instruments. I grew up playing the piano. I took like 10 years of piano lessons
Okay.
and then
So you're
went away to college and
Mhm.
discovered all these other world of music, like just drum circles and playing the harmonica and playing the guitar. And while I was supposed to be studying history, I spent most of my time trying to learn music.
I know so many times our relationship with our passions have to change after we get chronic illness. So how has your relationship to music changed in the aftermath of ME/CFS? Are you still able to play? Is it harder?
Well, my original onset was in 1992,
Oh, really?
and it was very, I used to be a long distance runner and a cross country and a long distance cyclist,
Hmm.
and I had unending endurance. And then all of a sudden, I got sick one day in the spring of 1992, and I couldn't run across the street without being exhausted. And
Wow.
but I made it was very mild and moderate for many years and very manageable symptoms. Like I maintained a very full life. I continued to push myself. I'm very driven with my music career.
Hmm.
And I would, there were times when I'd be getting ready to get up on a stage and I would be lying in the green room on the floor,
Oh my gosh.
just questioning whether or not I was going to be able to do this and like really weak on the floor, like feeling ill. And
Hmm.
then it would be time for me to get on the stage and suddenly I would just come alive and
Adrenaline, yeah.
adrenaline for like 45 minutes or 90 minutes. Sometimes I would be on fire and I'd give the best performance of my life.
Wow.
And then afterwards I would just like I had no energy to talk to the people, to
Oh,
interact. I would just be I'd
wow.
find a room to lie down in again. That's how I
Well,
managed for many years. But in
yeah.
2021, I had a severe downturn and I'm about 95% bedridden now.
Oh, wow. Do you have any idea what might have triggered the severity change?
I don't. It was a very
Random.
traumatic, like 4 months of just
Oh my
continual
gosh.
crashes, making my symptoms worse.
Especially because you say back in 1992 you were dealing with this, in the 90s. Did you know what was going on? Or you
No,
didn't know?
we
Wow.
didn't. I had never heard of chronic fatigue syndrome. I don't remember when I first heard about it, but it was sometime in the 90s. And, you know, in 2007, I went to Thailand and had a
Yeah.
significant sort of downturn in health.
Hmm.
Like it was thinking back from 92 to 2007. It was very, very manageable. I would even call it mild.
Wow.
I didn't think it was mild at the time because I went from being a long distance runner to I couldn't run across the street. But
It's a big deal.
looking from where I am now, it was mild.
Yeah. But nowadays, it's just when you're not feeling well and you Google your symptoms, it comes up and you find maybe chronic fatigue syndrome. But back in the 90s, it was just less information available about it.
Yeah.
And it was almost like you had to just adjust to whatever was going on, just had no idea.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on. And
Wow. Did you
if
see
I could,
doctors or nobody had answers, right? Of
oh
course.
yeah, I went to all the doctors. I've spent my whole life going to doctors and no one has any answers. Even to this day,
Even to this day. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
all my vitals are perfect. Yesterday I was at the dentist and I had my blood pressure taken. She said, "Oh, great blood pressure."
You're the
You know,
perfect picture of health,
I'm the
right?
perfect picture of health in every way except reality.
Except that we can't get out of bed. So, was it a big surprise when you gained over 1 million followers on TikTok?
I always knew that I had a unique talent. I mean, I've always been sort of frustrated at my ability to reach a lot of people,
Right.
and TikTok was the perfect environment for me
Wow.
because I'm really good at little short segments of really amazing things.
Mhm,
Like I
mhm.
can play give me 20 seconds, I can really wow you.
And TikTok's
And
the best platform for
that's
that.
what
Yeah,
TikTok's all about.
that's amazing. And so you've come out and you've said you've shared your experiences with MACFS on TikTok as well.
Yeah, it started in 2021 when I was starting to in April, I really started to feel something happened where I shifted and
Okay.
I started feeling more ill. And then
Mhm.
I started sharing with my audience what was going on. And then in the fall, when I just had these crash after crash, I was very like when I bought my wheelchair, when
Mhm.
a, I got a stair lift, when
Mhm.
I got a caretaker, I was very open about all these things. So people learned that this is what's going on.
That's an important effort, I think, that you've raised awareness. You've not shied away from talking about the realities of it, because I don't think anybody really knows, how severe sometimes the general public doesn't know how severe it can be, how people live in the shadows like this.
And even right now, it's like I've been very animated in this conversation.
Yep.
Just as I'm sitting here, I'm just feeling like this rush of kind of like, oh shoot, I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
know.
I mean, did people on TikTok have they asked questions about it? Have you felt a sense of support when
Oh
sharing?
yeah, people have been very supportive of me and very concerned about me. And they
Yeah,
really love my music and people just express how sad they are to see me going through this.
right.
And I've been, I try to be real, like I explained, I did videos about how to say the word myalgic encephalomyelitis.
I like no, that's
And
that's great. Yeah.
I
But
finally
no,
learned how to say it. I mean, I didn't know how to say it for many years.
spelling it is another trick altogether.
I know. I mean, I still go to we don't, I don't even have an official diagnosis. I mean, I have one, my functional medicine doctor recently suggested that you may be suffering from myalgic encephalomyelitis.
Oh, really?
And but I've known it for years.
Of
And
course.
my primary doctor calls it chronic fatigue. And
Mm,
every time she says chronic fatigue, I'm saying, you have no idea.
yeah.
Like, this is not chronic fatigue.
That's why I feel like that name, it's so difficult because people think, oh, I'm tired too.
I know. I'm
I'm
tired all the time
we're
too.
all chronically tired, right? And it's just
I
totally
know, right?
somebody, I think it's like calling, Crohn's a chronic bellyache or something like that. Yeah, it just reduces, I think, the gravity of the situation. But just to talk more about your advocacy, you've done amazing work in not only raising awareness, but fundraising. So earlier this year, right, or was it end of 2021, there was a concert,
Right.
Love Song for Hal. So can you tell us a little bit about what this was, how it came about?
Sure. Well, right around Thanksgiving, um, my health had really, in October and November, my health, I was like living in the dark
Hmm.
with my eye mask and my headphones on. I'm really grateful that I'm not in that place right now. But I had, silencing headphones and the eye mask, and my room was pitch dark because I
Right.
couldn't handle any stimulus. And I had my started friends started coming to visit me, and three friends from college took an interest, took a real loving interest in me and decided to put on this fundraiser, which was a concert of 30 different artists.
And it was amazing. A lot of people tuned in from all over the world to watch. And you raised what was over $10,000, which is
We're about to
incredible.
donate. We're about to donate $15,000 to the OM.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Well, let me tell you one other story. I through Instagram, I met the band Coldplay and Chris Martin. They noticed my
Really?
music.
No way. Wow.
They noticed my music, and they reached out to me.
That is so cool.
And so I actually had several conversations on the phone with Chris Martin about music. And then when all this started happening, one day I was feeling particularly low.
Hmm.
And I decided I'm going to text Chris Martin and let him know what's going on with me. So I sent
Imagine
him a
that.
text.
Just
I
gonna
said,
text Chris Martin.
I let him know what was going on. And a minute later, I got a text back that said, I'll call you in 10 minutes. And
No
we had this
kidding.
beautiful conversation. And he said, is there anything I can do? And I said, well, there's this benefit concert coming up in January. Would you play at the benefit concert? He said, yes, I'd love to. I
Wow.
am not a research guy or a medical guy, or I don't really read very much. I'm not a good reader. I don't go to websites and do
Yeah.
research. I don't know all that much about chronic fatigue or ME, except for the fact I live with it for so many years.
Yeah.
But so I texted a friend of mine who's Peggy Olson, not Peggy Olson, Peggy Munson.
Hmm.
And she wrote a book about CFS back in the 90s.
Oh, really?
So she and I had the onset of this illness the same year, except hers has been severe for 30 years.
Oh, God.
I read her book and I reached out to her on Facebook.
Ah, okay.
And
Okay.
we're a similar age. We had the similar onset date. But I texted Peggy. I said, Peggy, of all the where where would you recommend I donate some money? And she's the first thing she said, the only place I give is the Ohio, or not the Ohio Open Medicine Foundation. And
Oh,
I said, okay. And I just because she said that, I signed on. I was all in. I said, okay, I'll do that. And I started doing these Facebook fundraisers and doing the Instagram fundraisers right around Thanksgiving.
hmm.
And I had a lot of success because I was going through this hellish period and I was being
Yeah,
very open about it, and people wanted to help. So
it's amazing. And honestly, you have a new idea too. You're not just stopping there.
well,
So
this is my new idea is to raise $1 million, and it's called A Million for the Millions.
I love that idea. And I think so many people will also feel really inspired and excited for this. Because think about it, if just one follower from your platform donated, every follower, you'd have $1 million. If we all chip in a little bit, our small efforts add up to make this huge difference.
A very popular guy named Lucian, who's a music producer with like 4 million followers. He took that and remixed it. It became one of the viral sounds of like the last 2 years. I mean, when you go to Instagram, that sound comes up all the time.
So, what gives you hope when you're dealing with the toughest days of ME/CFS and your symptoms?
That's a good question. But one thing that kept me going was I can be an example of someone who survives this. And someone, I have a platform. I can be an exam. I can be some sort of motivation to all the people, the invisible people out there. And one thing is, I'm not really willing to go invisible. Like they say, the million's missing. It takes a lot for me to go missing. Whatever I've been given, this is the only life I have. And there were times this fall where I was ready to give up. Like it was just too uncomfortable. Like I was in
Yeah.
too much discomfort.
Right.
And it also that kind of that extent of physical discomfort also affects my thinking.
Yeah.
And it put my thinking in a really dark place. But fortunately, I am very fortunate that I have people that love me. Like I have a family that just adores me, and I have friends that adore me. And not everyone has that. You know, I have friends three college friends that came together and raised a huge amount of money for me, so that I could buy a wheelchair, a stair lift, and a caretaker. And most people don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people they're just alone in this thing, and it's just the idea of thinking about that just makes me sick, and
Yeah.
I'd like to somehow be of service to those people.